A mixed feeling of anxiety, fear, and depression burdened me. Had anything happened to our leader, Bongabolu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman? Was it just a one-sided firing? Were the Bengali policemen, EPR, and soldiers revolting? I had no answers. Unfortunately, Radio Dhaka, the Indian radio stations, had no news of what was going on in Dhaka either. Was the world outside aware of what was happening here? There were flames rising. All around, there was just ceaseless thunder of intense firing. It was a living hell. A night of terror concerned morning hours. However, rings of smoke could still be seen rising from the horizon. I fell into a daze. What was going to happen next? What would be our future? While these thoughts raced through my mind, I grew exhausted from the sleepless night. I finally drifted into slumber. March 26th, a terrorized morning. Kaja woke me up from a deep sleep. He seemed to be excited and yet still in a state of shock. I was perplexed and a bit confused. I could not figure out what was going on. In a whispering voice, he asked me to hide in the bathroom. A soldier was moving towards the house with a rifle in his hand. It was scary. Right away, I realized the danger we were in. In seconds, I jumped off the sofa and ran into the bathroom. A little later, I heard knocking at the door. My blood froze. I began praying to God. It seems that people are most inclined to remember God in desperate moments like this. I began to wonder, is God actually moved to answer the prayers of those who only choose to remember him in times of crisis? These thoughts crept into my head. Kaja opened the door and greeted the soldier. A conversation followed it quickly. I couldn't follow the dialogue all the way from the bathroom. I ardently recited my prayers. Several moments passed without any sound. I feared that they had arrested Kaja and taken him away. Thankfully, soon after, I heard Kaja's voice again. Then, I heard steps clanking along the staircase to the roof. I had no clue as to what was going on. I continued my prayers and kept my ears open. Finally, Kaja had come back. He bolted the door and came close to the bathroom to say, "The danger is over, but stay in there for a little while longer." I've known Kaja to get riled up over petty matters, but surprisingly, on this day, he remained calm, composed, and careful. A little later, Kaja returned and said, "It's safe. You can come out now. They're gone." I heartily thanked Allah and came out to the bathroom. I asked Kaja what had happened. Kaja then explained that 5 armed West Pakistani soldiers had been patrolling the streets with apprehensive steps. With their fingers clenching the triggers of their rifles, they scanned the neighborhood. They saw the Bangladesh flag waving over the rooftop and asked Kaja to take it down. Kaja was well versed in Urdu. He put on the guise of a Muslim League supporter and convinced them that it was only under the pressure from students that he was forced to hoist the Bangladeshi flag. The soldiers bought into his story and let him bring down the flag without any repercussions, and immediately left the house. As it turned out, the soldiers were scouring the neighborhood in search of Bengali EPR soldiers and policemen who had revolted and fled from Gilkana camp and the police headquarters. It dawned on me that last night, many of the Bengali policemen and EPR's personnel might have been killed by the Pakistani army. Corpses and ruins everywhere. On the 27th of March, the curfew was lifted for 2 hours. Kaja went out to investigate the condition of his office in Old Dhaka. I went towards New Market and Elephant Road. On the streets, frightened people ran frantically in every direction. It wasn't clear where they were headed, but anxiety and fear were visible on all of their faces. The flea market that once stood next to New Market was now burnt to ashes. The smoke still billowed out from under the ruins. As I moved on, I confronted a more terrifying spectacle. It was unimaginable. Corpses were scattered in front of the shops. They dangled from rickshaws, carts, and blanketed the pavement. It took me a while to come to grips with what had happened. As I regained my senses, I joined the procession of human bodies running in panic. As I hysterically ran through the streets, I came across the slums adjacent to Iqbal Hall. They too had been turned into ashes. Next, I entered the hall compound. The carnage of last night's gunfire was present everywhere. I could see 1 or 2 individuals inside. I had no idea what they had been doing inside. Nonetheless, I had no plans of finding out. I went on my way. While on the way towards SM Hall, I found several corpses lying in a row on the pavement of Iqbal Hall. It seemed as if they were neatly positioned side by side like the keys of a piano. I presumed they must have been killed elsewhere, and they had been placed here for a reason. When getting closer, I realized that I could identify one of the bodies. It was Chisti Hilalur Roman, the die-hard activist of the student league. He was dressed in trousers and just a tank top. I couldn't bear to get any closer to his lifeless body. Not that I was scared, but rather my senses had actually escaped me. Without any tinge of emotion, it was as if I was watching these horrifying images through a slow-motion lens. Eventually, others came to see the corpses and joined me. It was time for me to move on. Chisti's image haunted me. Only some 36 hours ago, this patriotic young man asked me to construct a barricade. Now, he was nothing more than a dead body. He was the first martyr of the Liberation War, and least among the people that I knew. He was engulfed in the dream of a liberated homeland. The idea had pumped through his veins. A young man from Bogra, Chisti chanted passionate slogans which inspired others. Chisti, Aftab, Mahbub, Rabiul, Mumtaz, Nasrul, and other student activists were famous slogan artists. They were specialists in firing up rallies and marches with their thunderous slogans, but Chisti's voice was now silenced forever. I walked towards Shahid Minar, passing SM Hall. However, Chisti's memory was still in my head. Shahid Minar was crushed to dust by the military junta. This was a symbol of Bengali nationalism and was subjected to the wrath of the Pakistani military. I was awfully shaken, so much so that I did not feel any anger. Originally, I had planned to go to Fazlul Haq Hall to find out what had happened to my friends, but the scene at Shahid Minar exhausted my strength. I changed my plans and decided to go back to Kaja's house. Turning left, I walked between the Science Annex building and the University Medical Center. I took a shortcut through Jagannath Hall and came near Rokeya Hall. People were shuffling along the streets as fast as they could. While a few rickshaws were still in operation, there were no private cars on the road. Frightened, the people were fleeing. I passed Rokeya Hall and the University Library, and then moved towards Shagbag Hotel. At the time, I did not know that the Pakistani army had already committed a massacre at Rokeya Hall and Jagannath Halls. I could see some of the military convoys near the hotel. Later, I came to know that they were there to seize the radio station. Ironically, this was the same platoon that attacked us on the night of March 25th. I made a left towards Elephant Road. I took a look at where we had constructed the barricade just 2 nights ago. It was all gone now. As I stood there, an army officer yelled at me from the passenger jeep. They were not letting anyone stand idle. We were all asked to move quickly. Despite his orders, I took a moment to carefully look for any signs of blood. And yes, in still pools, the sacred blood of those martyrs painted the roads crimson. Though I knew not all of their names, the blood that had spilled was the blood of my fellow comrades. While walking along, I glanced at the ditch that I had jumped into on that fateful night. In broad daylight, the scene had become much more visible. Everything became more real. The filthiness of the ditch was indescribable. The 2-hour break in curfew was almost over. I returned quickly. Kaja too had returned. He shared with me what he had learned of the brutality of the Pakistani soldiers in Old Dhaka. I'm going to leave it there for now because I can go on for a long time.
Thank you, Mush. Just on that fateful night, 25th March, 10,000 people were killed in Dhaka city alone. It was testified by U.S. Consul General in Dhaka, Archer Blood. On 26th, he sent a telegram to the State Department describing the massacre or beginning of the genocide. State Department and White House ignored that telegram. Then few days later, Mr. Blood sent a telegram signed by 28 or 30 plus employee of the consulate, which is very unprecedented in diplomatic norm. Employee should not make a petition because he was so disturbed, so moved that he has to do that. And Archer Blood has written a book. It is in his book. I also quote from his book in my book. He died a couple of years back, 4 or 5 years back. And in that telegram was known literally blood telegram because Mr. Blood sent this. So he said, we are helpless. We are just witnessing a massacre. We can do anything. Our government, if want, they can stop this. So anyway, I think you should read the book and then learn more about this. Now, Peter, how long can you stay? Do you have to go quickly? Okay. So now I would like to request Dr. Fakhruddin Ahmed. He read the manuscript and also he has the opportunity to look at the final book. He is a chemist, but he is an economist. He sometimes writes in New York Times. So I will request Dr. Fakhruddin Ahmed, a resident of West Windsor, to make some comments. Thank you.